Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into some really interesting stuff that came up in some English learning material you shared.
Yeah, it was from that Speak English Smartly YouTube channel. Started as language learning, but then, wow, it went into some other big topics.
Exactly. So we thought, okay, let's unpack those for you. Two main things caught our eye.
Right. First, this whole thing about social media, how it messes with our focus, our productivity.
And then a total shift, but just as interesting. Different views on love marriage versus arranged marriage.
Quite the contrast.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, starting with the social media side of things.
Okay. What struck me first was how upfront the speakers were about their own, habits.
Yeah, no kidding. Both basically said they spend too much time scrolling every day.
It's relatable, isn't it? That feeling
Yeah.
of just falling into the feed,
Oh.
almost automatic.
And one speaker actually used the word addiction, maybe informal, but it gets the point across how strong that pull is.
Definitely. And they connected it directly to being less productive, specifically mentioning productivity at work.
So what's going on there? Is it just the time lost, or is it deeper?
Well, I think it's both. You lose time, obviously, but it also feels like it fragments your attention. Like your brain gets used to constant little hits of new stuff.
Yeah, like dopamine smacks.
Exactly. So settling down for deep work, it feels harder. Your brain kind of fights it. That constant switching,
Yeah.
it takes a toll.
Uh-huh. And that story about the student, Anna, failing her exam.
Right. The implication was pretty clear. All the time spent posting, chatting online,
Yeah.
it directly cut into her study time.
He really highlights that time isn't infinite, where you put your attention matters.
Even those small chunks scrolling here and there, they really do add up, eat away at focused time.
And they made the point, it's not just students. It feels like a wider thing now. Everyone is addicted, they said. Maybe a bit strong, but...
But it captures a feeling, right? The sense that it's a widespread challenge keeping focus in this, super digital world.
So what is the appeal? Why is it so hard to resist for so many people?
Well, part of it's got to be the social side, hasn't it? The likes, the comments, that feeling of connection, even if it's kind of superficial sometimes.
But the speakers themselves question that. Like, what do you really get from posting photos and getting likes? Their answer was, not much, honestly.
Which brings us to their idea about being more intentional.
Right. Not just mindlessly consuming, but actually thinking about why you're online, making sure it adds value.
Okay, but what does adding value look like, practically speaking?
Well, maybe it's focusing on genuine connections or using it to learn something, find inspiration.
Instead of just whatever the algorithm throws at you.
Exactly. And they had some concrete suggestions, too. Setting time limits, taking actual breaks from the platforms.
Simple ideas, but maybe quite effective if you stick to them.
Absolutely. And I liked the idea of actively choosing to follow more, enriching accounts, educational stuff, inspiring people.
Kind of curating your feed more deliberately.
Yeah, it's still using the platform, but maybe in a way that serves your goals better.
So for you, the listener, it boils down to thinking. Are your online habits helping or hindering what you want to achieve? Whether that's English learning or something else entirely.
Which leads right into their challenge idea, the social media detox.
Yeah, just
Yes.
stepping back for a bit. Could be really revealing to see how it affects your day, your focus.
Okay, so let's pivot now. Big change of topic, just like in the original conversation. Love marriage versus arranged marriage.
Wow, yeah. That was a sudden turn, but fascinating. And the speakers had really clear opposing views.
Totally. One was firmly for arranged marriages, the other just as strongly for love marriages. It really taps into different cultural values, different priorities.
So the arguments for love marriage seem to focus on, well, choice, choosing your own partner.
And the idea that you know them really well before you commit, that personal connection, that autonomy.
Uh-huh. Whereas the case for arranged marriage emphasized family involvement, the idea that your family helps find someone truly compatible.
And tradition plays a big role there too. Plus, this interesting idea that love isn't always the starting point, but something that can grow over time within the marriage.
More of a slow burn, maybe.
Kinda, but then both sides have downsides, right? The speakers acknowledged that.
Yeah. For love marriages, they talked about, like, what if the initial love fades? Or what if you realize you're just not compatible down the line, despite the strong feelings at first?
That initial spark. Maybe it's not the best predictor of long-term happiness. Is that the idea?
Maybe. Because, intense feelings can sometimes blind you to, well, to problems, differences in values, life goals, that kind of stuff.
Right. And then on the arranged marriage side, the big risk is, what if your family chooses someone you just fundamentally don't like?
Yeah, that tension between family expectations and individual happiness. That's a tough one.
And remember that anecdote about the college friend who fell apart after a breakup?
Oh, yeah. That was used to illustrate the potential instability of relationships based purely on romantic love, the emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of supported the argument that arranged marriages often look at a bigger picture, not just romance, but
Compatibility on multiple levels, like background, values, family fit, all that stuff.
a more maybe holistic approach. In theory, anyway.
And they brought up that phrase, love is blind. The idea that when you're head over heels, you might miss.
Red flags, potential issues, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaway, where they seem to agree, was that there's no single right answer here.
Absolutely. It's so personal. Depends on the people involved, their culture, their individual beliefs.
What works for one person or one couple might be totally wrong for another.
And I really appreciated how they kept the conversation respectful, even with strong disagreements.
Yeah, it wasn't about winning the argument, more like just sharing different perspectives, hearing each other out.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've journeyed through the challenges of managing digital life and focus.
And then explored these really contrasting views on how lifelong partnerships are formed, all sparked from that English learning video.
Think about any aha moments
Yeah.
for you. Maybe it's realizing just how much time social media might be quietly taking up.
Or maybe just appreciating the sheer diversity of thought around something as fundamental as marriage. The different reasons, the different traditions.
So whether you're working on your English, trying